Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Alrighty, we're going to be starting the meeting for today. Thank you for joining us.
Roll call for the City Council meeting of Wednesday, November 6, 2024. Council members Flores, Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon.
Please stand for a moment of silence and then following the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'd like you to remember Tom Hoffman. He was a neighborhood watch leader for 50 years. Or did I do that one last time? No. All right. He was a neighborhood watch leader in the West Bayfront for 50 years that passed away since last council meeting.
Check.
I have a motion to... I have a motion to accept the minutes
Hello? Okay, we are now.
from the October 16th meeting and bills for payment on November 8th and 15th, 2024. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores.
Alrighty, everyone. The mayor is going to present his 2025 budget to council. Thank you, Mayor.
I thought it more important I speak directly to you here at this microphone so you can hear me. I'm very happy to be with you here today to present the city's 5-year, it's 2025 through 2029 budget. Before I highlight some major factors in the budget, I want to restate 3 general principles that control everything that my team and I do. First is 6 words: build opportunity, restore hope, transform Erie. We want to accomplish that. Second is our 2-sentence vision for Erie, and it's that Erie is a community of choice. We celebrate 5 things: our rich cultural diversity, our welcoming, vibrant neighborhoods, our world-class downtown and bayfront, our excellent education for everyone, and our abundance of good family-sustaining jobs. Third are 4 principles that control everything I do as mayor, and I'd like you to hold me accountable for this. I'm committed to being open, honest, transparent, and accessible. So again, hold me that I am that way in how I deal with things: open, honest, transparent, and accessible. Our approach to doing the budget was very similar to last year and previous years. Lisa Gomersall, who's here, our Director of Finance, led the meetings. Lisa was joined by Melissa Rizzo, the Assistant Director of Finance. Along with the 2 of them, Renee Lamus and I met with each department at least once, with some multiple times, to discuss and finalize every line of their budget. Once we completed all the meetings, we put together the budget that you have received. I'm proud to tell you that for the 6th year in a row, there's no increase in property taxes in our 2025 budget. But our costs do go up every year. This year, after meeting with department heads, Lisa and her team worked on the budget. The first draft had a structural deficit of $5,427,943. To balance the budget, Lisa and Melissa cut $1.4 million and reduced the structural deficit to $4,033,824. To balance the budget, we're using that $4,033,824 from our Water Authority lease prepayment. You can see the amount, it's on line 3111 in our preliminary budget, and that's on page 16 of the preliminary edition of the budget that you have received. Page 16, line 3111. By using the Water Authority lease payment, there's no need to increase taxes next year in our 2025 budget. I also hope that we can continue to increase city revenue by increasing the number of people working and living in the city of Erie. In the past 70 years, the city of Erie's population has dropped about 40,000 people. We are working hard to turn that around and increase Erie's population as quickly as possible. Here's what we've accomplished so far. Since 2020, we have added 440 new employers within the city of Erie, and since 2021, we have 2,371 additional people working in the city. We have significantly improved city finances since taking office in 2018. When we prepared our first five-year budget back in 2019, the 2024 budget had a projected deficit at that time of $23,189,908. We will continue to identify and implement financial strategies to chip away at that structural deficit. The deficit now in our five-year forecast, which is for 2029, is down over $10 million from 5 years earlier to $13,073,469. I'm very proud of my team and all we've accomplished so far. There is more to get done, and we look forward to working with you to accomplish it. Now let's move to our sewer and refuse, which are the two areas there are increases. As we have explained the last couple of years, it's best to implement annual increases in sewer fee and the refuse fee, so we do not do it anymore every 3 years, which was a huge amount every 3 years. This year, we're proposing a 9% increase in the sewer fee for 2025. The need for this increase is based on the result of Raftellus rate study, which will be explained by the consultants when they meet with you here in a couple weeks in your study sessions. That's higher than last year when it was up only 2.5%, but it's still much better than 12.6% increase of the sewer that went up 2 years ago for 2023. This is an additional average cost of $7.67 per quarter for residents. For 2025, our refuse fee is up 8%, which is similar to the 6% it was up last year. Again, this proposed increase is needed to cover rate costs in the Bureau of Refuse. This increase is a quarterly cost for refuse is $5.80 per resident. So the proposed average quarterly cost increases for sewer and refuse combined is $13.47 per quarter, or $53.88 for the year. So that's the amount of the increase in the budget. As I said last year, the Water Authority has been doing annual fee increases for many years now. We want to do this annually so we can cover our costs and keep our increases lower. We have successfully weaned ourselves off the annual transfers that used to take place from sewer and refuse to the general fund. Some of you probably remember that. That doesn't happen anymore. I hope you will support our proposed fee increases for 2025 so we can cover our costs in these vital enterprise funds. As you know, for over the last 50 plus years, the city of Erie has lost about 40,000 people from living in the city. In January of 2022, I announced a major goal for the city of Erie, that we will increase Erie's population by at least 10,000 people over the next 7 years. We now have 4 years left to accomplish that goal. My goal is to increase the city's revenue by increasing population rather than by increasing taxes. As I mentioned, we have already started to see increases in employers and individuals who work in the city of Erie. We intend to build on this in the coming years. There's a lot to go through in this book. Our team, led by Lisa Gummersall and me, will work with you to give you a good understanding of what we are proposing, and we welcome any suggestions for improvements that any of you may have. We look forward to working with you on the 2025 through 2029 budget and meeting with you as often as necessary to present each department in the budget, answer your questions, and hear your suggestions. My team and I are working hard to increase the transplant budget that improves our budget every year, a transparent budget budget that improves our budget every year and makes it easier to understand. I know you're hearing and seeing all this for the first time today, but if you have any initial questions, Lisa and I will be happy to respond to them. Are there any questions about the budget at this point? I know it's early for that. Anything?
I don't think anyone on council has questions at this time.
Not sure what you said there, I couldn't understand it, but.
I was saying, I'm sure no one on council has questions at this time.
Okay, that's weird. Yeah, you might be getting too close to the mic, I don't know. Thank you.
Alrighty, next we will do the Jason Belton Award. Or are we doing, right? Okay. And Chief Dan Sansani is going to present.
Good morning, Council. Before I begin with that, just a quick, wanted to let you know that we're a little bit behind on our third quarter stats. They'll be out. We're working on them closely right now. It's been rather busy the last few weeks, as you know. But they're looking very, very good, that crime has decreased significantly in the city, and I thought I'd like to make sure that you heard that. And we have finished having VIP visits. We're very thankful for that, too. Okay, today we'd like to recognize in the police department the Jason Belton Citizen Policing Award. This was created several years ago with the help of Mr. Witherspoon. Thank you very much. Jason Belton unfortunately passed several years ago during COVID. He was a bicycle police officer in the downtown. He made a tremendous difference. When we lost him, we had numerous business owners come up, and we realized just how important that bicycle patrol has been in the downtown. His interaction not only with business owners and citizens, but especially the children that he would encounter in the park in downtown, was tremendous. We're so thankful that Mr. Witherspoon has started this award. We recognize that the Belton family is here. We thank them for coming today.
Thank you.
And I'll now ask my command staff to join me up here, along with Officer Smith. This year's Jason Belton Citizen Policing Award is presented to Sergeant Dave Smith for his outstanding work in the community. The late Jason Belton, the beloved bicycle patrol officer, was a staple to the citizens of Erie and downtown business owners. His passing left a void in the community, but his memory and the legacy of this award continue to inspire us, filling us with hope and motivation. David Smith, a sergeant with the Erie Police Saturation Unit, embodies this award spirit. His role as a bicycle patrol officer and as a supervisor for the Saturation Unit has been marked by exceptional leadership and dedication over the years. David also works with the PAL program and the COPS program, cultivating relationships with our local youth. His unwavering commitment to the standard of community policing is a reassuring sign that the connection between police officers and our community will continue to strengthen in the future. We're deeply grateful for his service and dedication. The Erie Police Department presents Jason Belton Award to Sergeant Dave Smith.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to take a minute to thank Chief Spizzarni, the command staff, and all my brothers and sisters in blue of the Erie Police Department. To receive an award with an officer's name on it that I was fairly close to is truly an honor. I would like to thank the Belton family for being here today. Members of the Saturation Unit that I work with are a tremendous team. It's no secret I love you guys. You're my boys. So the reason I'm a police officer today is because when I was a student at Asbury Elementary School, a police officer from Mill Creek Township took the time to come visit. He had a large impact on me that day that led me to want to be a police officer. My hopes are that my efforts through PALS and the COP program and Mr. Witherspoon's basketball league, that someday a child that I affected will stand here in front of you and be a police officer. There's no hiding that there's a shortage of up-and-coming police officers in our country. So if I have that effect on one child, then I consider my career a success. The last people I'd like to thank are especially my family, my wife, my 2 daughters, one of which couldn't be here today. She's away at college. My daughter Brooke, who's ditching school to be here. This is the one time that I will accept that. So there's probably people that I'm forgetting, but please know that you are all in my thoughts and prayers, and I'm grateful to receive this award today. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
We'll meet out in the lobby to take some pictures, and I'll remind everybody, it is No Shave November, otherwise they would have been clean shaven.
Alrighty, congratulations on behalf of council. Enjoy. We will be moving on to Jackie Spry and Lisa Backmere Safety Action Plan, Safe Streets and Roads for All. We have approximately 9 minutes, I would like to say, before our public hearing starts. So, do we think we can do it in the 9 minutes? Okay. All right. All right.
You can't start the public hearing
Until
early.
9:30.
You can start a couple minutes later.
Okay, all right. Well, Jackie, the floor is yours. Show us your findings.
Good morning, Council. My name is Jackie Spry, and I'm the Director of Planning and Neighborhood Resources at the City of Erie. Thank you for allowing me to present to you today on the Safe Streets and Roads for All project. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to Lisa Backmere. I met Lisa earlier this past fall at our first public event for the Safety Action Plan. Lisa was one of the first people after the presentation to come up to me, introduce herself, and tell me about Andrew, her beloved son. I asked Lisa if she would be comfortable sharing this story at a council meeting, and to my surprise, she willingly agreed. This is the first time that Lisa will share her story of Andrew publicly. I'm grateful for your courage and strength to advocate for safe streets for everyone.
Morning. Okay, first time doing this too, so bear with me. Okay, although I don't reside in the city, what I'm about to share today, I hope would set a precedent for all surrounding areas and beyond. Short people, thank you. Soon after receiving, Uh-oh, I messed up my pages. I lost a page. Okay, I know my son. My son was born 42 years ago, 2 months premature. He was 3.5 pounds. He was given a 50-50 chance of survival. He was the only baby to leave the NICU unit in that time. But he went on to thrive despite his many challenges, doing much of what they said he'd never be able to do. Since he was 14, he worked a variety of jobs, volunteered at the local hospital, church, and senior center. But his greatest source of pride had been becoming a member of the fire department. Hobbies, such as being on leagues for bowling, darts, playing pool, and camping, where taking his girlfriends for a ride in his golf cart gave him a great sense of pride. His physical challenges prevented the rite of passage to obtain a driver's license, so riding his bicycle to his jobs and other activities was his mode of transportation. His motto was "buses suck," because their schedules really didn't allow for choices and job opportunities. I wanted to raise the bar for him to continue building on his accomplishments and feel safe in doing so. And we searched for several years until we found Erie. Being so rich in resources, Erie had much to offer: the Barber Institute, the culture, better job opportunities for him, the fire department, and for me, Presque Isle. Since his bike was his primary mode of transportation, wider bike lanes were a plus. And the proximity of these opportunities were all within bike riding distance from the home we shared. We moved here in December of 2019 when he was 38, and we were excited to explore the opportunities we were planning to pursue, even through the pandemic. He got a job at Waldemere in the summer of 2020 and worked at the Crick in downtown Girard, joined A.F. Dobler, and met a lovely young lady. 10 months later, on 9/25/2020, on an otherwise ordinary day, he took his bike to Country Fair in Fairview for a cup of coffee. He was probably headed to A.F. Dobler, but when he reached the intersection at Route 20 and Imperial Parkway, a car, determined to be going at 25 miles an hour, had enough of an impact to throw him into the air, crash him into the pavement, causing multiple blunt force trauma. In the blink of an eye, my world shattered into a million pieces. He more than likely died on impact, but I spent the next 12 days watching him die, because this time he would never walk or talk again. Despite having only lived here for 10 months, 7 of which were in lockdown mode, Dobler gave him a full firefighter's funeral, replete with a fire ranger Kyson, a last call, and 6 fire departments showed up at his funeral. The moment that car hit him, the secondary losses or collateral damage began. A list of 80 secondary losses was written by Katja Faber in a grief blog called Still Standing Magazine. I identified with 77 out of 80, and there really is a list. But I could add a few of my own. In that blink of an eye, my child was gone, my faith in God was shattered, I lost my job, my career, which was inspired by him, 2/3 of my household income, my love of music and dancing vanished. Although a local band made that almost a breeze to overcome. These TVs were shut off because I can't even look at his photos and not feel the sucker punch as my heart realizes once again he's not coming back. I would never have imagined or chosen this life for myself, but it's now the one I get to live every day. On September 25th, 24, on the 4th anniversary of my son's accident, I attended the Safe Street meeting and met Jacqueline Spry. I offered to be the poster child for Safe Streets for All. It's never easy to lose a child, but sometimes the circumstances surrounding loss lend themselves to a crusade, which at least gives us somewhere to focus our sorrow. So, this is my way of doing all I can for as many as I can, for as long as I can. Because every day I have to fit my son's absence into my world and find a way to live around the void where he should be, but isn't. And despite this unfathomable pain, My hope is that it will save others from experiencing this irrevocable heartbreak. An immediate resolution for high-risk areas is imperative. Dedicated bike lanes with posts could have saved his life. Helmet laws for all could have saved his life. I believe bikes riding against traffic could have saved his life. Awareness of diminished driving skills in seniors could have saved his life. My son was killed in a random oops of the universe. Going west on Route 20 at 3:57 p.m., the sun-setting glare is blinding, and the reason the driver stated she didn't see him. But a sun visor used by an 83-year-old woman, so short she could barely see over the steering wheel, would have been no help. Witnesses stated she got out of the car with a walker, and now she also has to live with the fact that this accident killed my son. My son's accident site may not be a high-priority location within the city of Erie, but my hope is that his story will make it a priority for all. Without this investment, the vicious cycle of road crash injuries and deaths will continue. A Vision Zero plan could have prevented his tragic and out-of-order death. So if one death is too many, let his death be the one. Thank you for listening.
Ma'am, I am so sorry for your loss, and I appreciate you sharing your story and your son's story with us so that council could help navigate the safe plan that we need in our city, because there's been a lot of tragedy due to the road, and we have to do better. Thank you.
I have a few more minutes, right? Okay. I'm going to turn these TVs back on. Hopefully this works. One is better than none. All right. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for sharing your experience and heartfelt story. It's all too easy to look at crashes as numbers. But over the last 5 years, there have been almost 200 stories just like Lisa's in our city of people dying and being seriously injured in these preventable tragedies. Hopefully, City Council will hear these stories and agree that Erie can do better. We can do better. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, jeez. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm sorry. This project is called Safe Streets and Roads for All. Why does it matter? Why does this matter? In 2000, over 44,000 people have died on our U.S. roads. 28% of those total crashes were speeding-related crashes. It is approximately 80% more likely for Black people to be killed by drivers while walking than white non-Hispanic Americans. It is approximately 3 times more likely for people in low-income communities to be killed by drivers than in high-income areas. And 45% of these, that we've seen a 45% increase in pedestrian deaths. Those are national trends. Why does this matter in Erie? What you're looking at is a map of data that was collected by our consultants of crashes that occurred in Erie over the last 5 years. So we know that crashes are happening throughout the city. However, while these crashes, we're not seeing a tremendous increase in crashes overall, we are seeing a, oh my gosh, there we go. Sorry. We are seeing an increase in fatalities and serious injuries throughout the city of Erie. This map depicts, each circle represents someone who's either died or suffered a life-changing injury in Erie. Those are referred to, as I mentioned, FSSI, or fatal and suspected serious injury accidents, and those are increasing throughout our city. In fact, This data is from 2019 to 2023, and the data for our crash data is not out yet for 2024. However, we're working with Officer Dunmeyer, the Accident Investigation Unit, and he's provided the consultants and the team the fatality and injury data for this year. And so far this year, we've had 10 deaths. That's double the amount we've had since last year. Of those 10 deaths, 4 of those deaths were pedestrians. At this time, we are in the process of, our consultants are in the process of collecting the data analysis around crashes and working with the public through public engagement to find out where the serious, where the safety traffic concerns are. This is really just a summary of the findings. Over the past 10 years, total crash numbers have been relatively flat, like I mentioned, or very slightly declining in Erie, but by contrast, those fatalities and serious injuries have increased across all crash types. That's motor vehicles, pedestrians, and bicyclists. This increase has been most pronounced among pedestrians and bicyclists. Those are our most vulnerable users of the road. So it is appropriate for that the city is undertaking this effort at this time, and the plan should include special emphasis for vulnerable road users such as pedestrians and cyclists. Through funding from a federal Safe Streets and Roads for All planning grant, Erie is in the process of developing a safety action plan to guide future safety investments in the city. This plan will identify priority locations for safety improvements and make recommendations for infrastructure, policy, and other improvements to help make Erie's roads safer for all road users. Once the plan is completed, the city will be eligible for additional funding to implement plan recommendations. However, the administration and City Council will need to commit additional investment for larger capital projects, positions to lead these safety initiatives and long-term planning projects. Lisa spoke about this a little bit in her presentation about Vision Zero. Vision Zero comes out of the Safe Streets and Roads for All program. Last week, the mayor and chief of staff and the safety working group, which is the group committed to, it's a group of people from all different organizations. It's our project team for Safe Streets, committed to adopting the Vision Zero initiative in Erie. Vision Zero, and by 2035, which is a very aggressive schedule. Vision Zero is a global strategic initiative to eliminate traffic death and severe injuries and to ensure safe transportation for all. Vision Zero marks a significant step in the community's evolving mobility strategy and mirrors similar action taken by major cities around the world. Many of the cities have reported steady declines in traffic fatalities and injuries over the last few years after implementing Vision Zero. This community safety initiative will bring together representatives from various government agencies, local officials, and community partners to create an action plan focused on eliminating traffic fatalities and injuries. The adoption of Vision Zero signals Erie's dedication to making our roads safer for everybody. Everyone has the right to travel our streets safely. That is why Erie has chosen zero as our goal by 2035. By committing to eliminate traffic deaths and serious injuries through the implementation of Vision Zero, we're building a safer, more vibrant city for decades to come. So, how many deaths on our roads are acceptable? The zero is the only answer. Together, we can prevent fatalities, serious injuries from road crashes, and our city can be a place where everyone feels safe on the road. If you'd like to learn more about this project or you want to see some of the other results and crash data, we're holding an event. We've held many events throughout October, and we'll be holding more throughout November, but we have one coming up November 12th from 5 to 7 at ECAT. That's 650 East Avenue. If you'd like to come out, there'll be some food options and childcare for those in the community. And then to learn more about the project website is up on the screen, or you can go to the city's website and it will link you to the project page. Please, not only to council, but to Erie's community and people who live here, people who live in the region, slow down, look out for your neighbors, and respect the rules of the road. And I just have the logo here as Vision Zero to remind us, and we'll be seeing this we'll be seeing this logo as our campaign and our messaging for the next several months, if not years. So just putting that up there. Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty, now we will start our public hearing. The floor is yours.
Those that will be testifying, could you please raise your right hand and say the oath?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good morning, President Flores and council members. I'm Michael Miskey with the law firm of Donald Illig, and I represent SB 69 LLC. Here with me today is the owner of SB 69, Ms. Pooja Mehra. As you know, SB 69 is here today requesting the transfer of liquor license R10673, which is currently owned by SB 69 in safekeeping, from its current location at 6116 Swanville Road in Fairview to SB 69's existing business located at 2176 West 32nd Street in Erie within the city. As you know, in order for the PLCB to approve an intermunicipal transfer, the Pennsylvania Liquor Code requires two things. First, a public hearing must be held by the receiving municipality regarding the proposed transfer. And second, following such public hearing, the receiving municipality must adopt a formal resolution approving such intermunicipal transfer of the liquor license. I have submitted a letter to the Erie City Clerk dated September 25th, 2024, requesting the required public hearing and a proposed resolution for the transfer of liquor license R10673 to be approved by council. We are here today as a result of that request, and this public hearing was advertised in the Erie Times News for 2 consecutive weeks on October 21st and October 28th. As this is a restaurant license under the PLCB Liquor Code, SB 69 will be required to have food available and seating for 30 persons, which will require additional renovations to their existing business. SB 69 intends to follow all PLCB rules and regulations and all state and local laws and ordinances relating to the operation of its businesses and the service of alcoholic beverages. SB 69's operations will not have any adverse impact on the health or welfare of the City of Erie or its residents. SB 69 cannot submit its transfer application to the PLCB unless and until this council approves the resolution for this intermunicipal transfer. Therefore, we respectfully request that the Erie City Council consider and approve by resolution the transfer of this license today at the end of this hearing, rather than postponing your final action to a later date in order to allow us to transfer the liquor license more quickly. If you approve the license today, we will file as soon as we have the resolution. On behalf of Ms. Mehra and SB 69, we greatly appreciate you taking the time today to have this public hearing and for your consideration with respect to the proposed resolution before you. We will be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
What is the name of your business?
It is AK Erie Corp., but the gas station's name is Speed Check.
Okay. And you have plans to make a restaurant?
Not a restaurant, ma'am, just a gas station with food and seating.
Okay.
Yes.
Does anyone else have any questions? I'm hearing none.
So you're asking them to vote today?
Yes.
Are you prepared to vote today?
Was the solicitor saying that?
Historically, council has deferred to the following meeting. There's no legal prohibition to voting today if you're so inclined. If you we need to hear from any other witnesses that wish to offer testimony, but at the close of testimony, council could make a motion, a second, and approve it. If not, you would defer it to the next meeting.
Does
I have a
anyone-
question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
This is a speed check? Okay, and Valerio's, they don't have a liquor license, do they? If we allow this, could they buy alcohol at their place and take it into Valerio's for dinner?
Conceivably, I mean, there are state laws that regulate where liquor can go and where it can't go, but we don't have a prohibition of somebody bringing it from one place to another, so that is conceivably a possibility.
And the Golden Walk is across the street, kitty corner as well. I'm not, like, I know where it is. I'm familiar, but I don't, like, that's not, I was just wondering. Thank you.
Does anyone on council, do we have anyone in the audience who would like to testify in favor or opposed to the transfer?
Madam President, I do have one.
Go ahead, Tyler.
When it comes to the type that you're I guess seeking to sell, are you going to be selling, were people coming in for like mixed drinks, like kind of how we see like now, like with the slushy mentality, like that, or are you going to have like bottles where you're selling?
Dr. Titus, if I may answer, as a restaurant, you're only allowed to carry out a certain number of fluid ounces of beer or bottles of wine at one time. There are no open containers that are allowed to be sold. The Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board recently passed a regulation that allows canned cocktails, but that requires a special permit if Ms. Mayra tends to go down that route. There's no open containers allowed to be sold at restaurants.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
This is not an emergency situation, and I don't see a need to change protocol at this time.
Yeah, that was going to be my second question, if anyone on council had any issues with going today or just putting it off to the next meeting.
I agree with Mel.
So what kind of food are you serving in your restaurant?
Right now, we have a full deli, plus we have pizza and wings.
Okay.
And we're thinking of adding more hot food.
And 30 seats?
Yes, ma'am.
I think everyone on council will just vote on this at the next meeting, just from the feeling of everyone at the moment.
Understood. Thank you.
Alrighty,
Appreciate your
thank
time
you.
today.
Alrighty. That concludes the hearing. I have to ask, is there anyone here for a repository sale? Please come forward. That's after. Everything's delayed. I'm sorry. We're gonna get there, I promise. Alrighty, so repository sales first.
There's questions.
Hello.
in front
Hello.
of you.
How are you?
There's questions in front of you if you want to answer those.
Questions in front of me?
They're not there?
No, I don't see anything here.
What are your plans for the property, well, the
The lot.
vacant lot that you're acquiring, well, trying to acquire?
I would like to put a she shed on it.
A she shed?
Yes.
Do you have a business that you operate out of the she shed?
No, I do not.
Okay.
It would be mostly for crafts, and hopefully I would like to get into sewing.
Is it attached? I believe it is attached to your property, right?
No, it's not.
I haven't seen the image for this one, I don't think. But I know it's on the west side, correct?
East side.
It's East 20th Street, east of 1320 East 20th Street.
What's the location?
East 20th of 1320 East 20th Street.
So you have plans to maintenance and keep the property clean around the she shed?
Yes.
I think the only comment that I would have would be the same comment I would give to anybody who's coming up, is just to make sure that when you go to build, check out the ordinances in the zoning, so that as you're laying out your plans, that that you're allowed to do it, that it makes sure that you fall within this. Because I really, it's kind of heartbreaking to watch somebody go in with this vision and an idea, and just to find out once you get to the property that you're not allowed to create what you had kind of envisioned. So that would just be what I would offer up, is as to make sure you're just following within those ordinances and the zoning.
Okay. I have not checked with zoning yet, but I have checked with some of the provisions to get it. They want 3 feet away from the property line. They also would like rocks or something down before putting it on there. Anything that's above 110 square feet would require a permit. But that's the only research I have done so far.
Does anyone else on council have any questions or concerns? I'm not hearing any. Alrighty, I think we will move on to I don't think any of us have a problem with her, putting a she shed and doing crafts and any of her little projects that she has. When you have those kinds of projects, you need more space, so it's understandable.
Yes.
Will we move on to the next repository sale? Someone grab her information.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
Thank you guys for hearing me out.
Thank you for coming before council. Hello.
Good morning. I'm not sure if you have this copy with you, but it's 1820 Fairmount Parkway. My name is Patrick Roner Jr. It's being purchased or requested to be purchased in the name of my retirement account. My plans are to market this property as a prospective new construction site. I think the lot is suitable for that.
Lori, can I see the paper for this one?
We have them.
Do you own anything by it, or is it just something that you're trying to acquire?
The latter. I don't know anything by it.
Do you want to name all the properties? You have several, correct?
No, just one, 1820 Fairmount Parkway. Previously, I did inquire about others, but I've withdrawn those and reduced it down to 1820 Fairmount Parkway.
So your plan is to just clean it up and then market it to the community at large?
Yes, I'd like to market it as Alerta Construction, new construction. I don't think there's any being marketed right now, and I think there's a window of opportunity to do that.
What's the size of that lot?
44 by 138.
Does anyone on council have any questions? I know I have concerns when we have properties being bought and advertised as market at large, because we're supposed to, as a city, market it to the community, and I'm not sure if for some reason the neighbors or the residents in that neighborhood are aware that this parcel of land is even available or even on the market, so that's why we always have a little bit of a hesitant whenever we're talking about selling it for $250 and then allowing someone to market it to the community at large, because that price tag is going to be a lot more than $250.
You might be surprised, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the county could do a better job of making people aware of the availability of these lots. It's out of my purview, but I agree with you.
Is that in between, like, is that west of McClellan or east of McClellan?
Your echo got me there.
So you have Broad Street and McClellan, Fairmont Parkway, right?
Yeah.
Is it in between that stretch?
I don't recall, I'm sorry, I just don't know the block by block of Fairmont Parkway.
So Broadway would be
1820, but I'm not sure what the next street is.
My guess, unless I look it up, is near Broad Street.
Madam President, for me, this is not my most favorite way to go about it, while additionally understanding that as we just received the budget and looking at where we have vacant property sitting, we have to do something where we're pulling in people to build and putting them back on and then into the tax base. Is this would this be my go-to method? No, but it's the tool that we have right now, and since it's one property, I'd be more inclined to support.
Okay. So it seems like everyone on council is support of the one property this time. All right. Well then.
No interest on the others?
I sensed the hesitation at my last appearance and amended my inquiry accordingly, so.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, I understand, yep.
All righty, so the clerks will take your information and then they will handle the remainder of the repository. We will be moving on to citizens to be heard. I would ask the media to please line up on the left aisle facing the stand and citizens to line up on the right aisle to avoid confusion. I would like to ask the public to clearly state your name and the municipality for the record. You will have 5 minutes. Now's the right time.
Melinda Hall, City of Erie, 16505, here representing the Erie Spiritual Coalition along with multiple other people who are here today. We're here to present to you a Tenant Bill of Rights, asking that 2 of you sponsor it. The Tenant Bill of Rights pulls from all existing state, federal, and local law, putting it in one place so that both tenants and landlords know their rights and responsibilities, both of those groups. Follows the model of other Pennsylvania and U.S. cities. It was vetted by housing attorney Robert Damewood, who I think you have familiarity with. So just to say, we've done our homework on the actual document, but we've done our homework on the City of Erie as well. I'm sure I don't need to tell you about degraded properties, nor do I need to remind you that many of them are rentals. So as the coalition looked around and knew that housing was an issue, we thought it was best to maybe listen before we decided to wade in. And so we spent a lot of time listening to neighborhood association groups, Blue Coats, the work that the SSJNN does, work that the Benedictines do. We talked to our refugee resettlement agencies. Time and time again, it came up that these rental properties were problematic and absentee landlords was problematic. And so we put our heads together on what might be something that could help, and the Tenant Bill of Rights emerged. So at that point, we decided to take it more broadly. We talked to GCAC, USCRI, Catholic Charities, Mercy Center, HANDS, talked to the head of the Apartment Association. I sent all of you an email. I sent the mayor's office an email. We ran 3 different broad community presentations at MLK, at MCRC, and at Mercyhurst. Housing Authority members came. Several of you came. We've talked to faith groups. Additionally, we canvassed and door-knocked various neighborhoods comprised of homeowners and renters So it took us a longer time to knock doors than we realized, because when people have never been asked for their stories, boy, are they ready to share. And in my line of work, it sort of turned into a lot of pastoral care, as people needed to tell us about the cockroaches and the rats. People needed to tell us about, the feces that had to be dug out of ovens for refugees to move into new spaces. We heard about leaks that were never fixed. We heard about appliances that didn't work. We heard about landlords that couldn't be contacted and property managers who did not have the proper certifications. We heard about people ending up homeless as a result of this with children. And we heard time and again from individuals and organizations that often code enforcement was absent when they were asked to be present. So as a result of that work, I have for you today 301 signatures from a variety of zip codes across the city, both people who rent, people who own homes, people who are landlords. We collected them political style, so I've counted them. The ones that are crossed out, I haven't counted. If they weren't in the city, to the best of my ability, they weren't counted. If they didn't put all their appropriate information, they weren't counted. So 301 unique. I would think that they would not be, it would be hard to duplicate them, because we had friends knocking in Frontier, we had Blue Coats knocking on the Lower East Side, we had colleagues knocking on the Upper West Side, we had people downtown. It's all zip codes. And they're asking, and the coalition is asking, that you take seriously this request. That as we agree on a Bill of Rights, we then agree collectively on understanding what our rights and responsibilities are as a city. For us in the coalition, it's really an issue of human flourishing. Students going to school, if their housing stinks and they can't sleep at night or they don't know where they'll be next, they can't learn. Workers can't really focus at work if all they can think about is whether they can pay the rent or when the leak will get fixed or what will happen. And of course, it's unstable for families. And I suppose if the human cost of it all isn't compelling, the economic cost should be compelling. Because if we're trying to have a city that is equitable for all, this isn't. It gives landlords who are doing a really good job a really bad name. I don't know how you're supposed to grow or develop a city that doesn't have appropriate housing stock for renters. I mean, Mayor Schimber was just talking about restoring hope and transforming this city. I agree in that, but our housing speaks another story. And if we're aiming for, quote, vibrant and welcoming neighborhoods, and if we want people who will work sustainable jobs, then we have to turn around the degraded rental situation. Because I also heard from people that they know housing is better elsewhere. And they can get a job working for the places that they work for, daily wage kinds of places, elsewhere in other cities, which means they'll leave our really good city for somewhere else. So what I have for you is a packet for all of you, plus counselor, plus mayor's office, that has a cover letter, information about ESC and the Tenant Bill of Rights, and we respectfully ask you to consider this, to sponsor it, to have a conversation about it for the good of our whole city.
Thank you.
Thanks. Here's the signatures, and here's the packet of stuff. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ed. Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard? Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard?
Good morning. My name is Gary Kononchik. I reside in the city in zip code 16505. I'm here partially to talk about the Tenant Bill of Rights, but frankly, Melissa did her homework, and how can you not say that most of these things which are necessary and appropriate, and in some ways I feel embarrassed for my fellow owners who create these conditions, and I think that one of the things that perhaps City Council and the administration should think about is, when a property doesn't pass rental registration and it's unhabitable and deplorable, to deny these frequently out-of-town landlords income, and that will slow them up. Unfortunately, that has an impact on the tenant because they're going to need to move. I think in those worst cases, they should be pursued to the maximum possible extent. But mostly I wanted to talk about something that was, kind of fed upon what the mayor started with. I think the mayor and council have reversed the trend of occupancy and investment. I can't tell you how much investment I see in Northwest Erie, but here's an opportunity, and I hope that you work with the administration to achieve it. What we have is a lot of demolition going on. That's a first step of blighted property removal, and we have Alerta. And let me commend Chris Groner, who showed up at the Apartment Association last month. He did a tremendous presentation. He provided a financial analysis only a finance guy like me would love, but more importantly, answered questions of the group and how they might be able to implement that. And last but not least, zoning. Zoning has been changed, and zoning is a very facilitative to development. But we got to put these pieces together. And I'm asking council and administration to say, how do we communicate it? Maybe Jackie could show up at an apartment association. Maybe a presentation could say, listen, we have these lots, and we're selling them for X, and zoning does this, and Alerta does that. I think we need a catalyst for those next steps, and hopefully that could happen. And that's my request. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard? Please come forward.
Good morning, Council. My name is Joel Miller, and I am a longtime landlord in the city of Erie, and pardon me, also the longtime past president of the Apartment Association, current vice president, pardon me, of the Apartment Association of Northwestern PA, which is the professional organization for landlords in this part of the state. And I really don't have any comments per se, but I just had a couple of questions. I do have a copy of the, I guess it's the proposed Bill of Rights. Is this something that is being proposed to become an ordinance? Is that the path that we're talking about here? Or just a stamp of approval by the council for liking it?
We don't engage with voters. This is your time to speak to us and let us know how you're feeling about the city. That current document that you have, we haven't even seen, so we're not even sure what we would.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
Yeah, if we agree, if we disagree. They just presented it to us, so we still have to deliberate and look through and make sure that if it's something that either council member wants to support, then we would get a first and a second and go from there. But right now, they're just presenting their findings to us.
All right. Well, I guess I would also be happy to report that the conditions and the landlords that are operating the way the prior presenter described are fortunately in the city of Erie in a very small percentage. Most of the landlords in the city, first of all, belong to our organization, and secondly, are not fortunately operating and providing living conditions as was described. And frankly, any of those situations that were described by all means should be eliminated, however you can do it. But I also would just point out that apparently there's a law referenced with each of the paragraphs. If you haven't seen it, you will see the way it's presented here, that with each of the items in the Bill of Rights, there is a citation of an existing law that already covers what the subject of the paragraph is. So, this may not at all be necessary because it's already covered under some other law that they have already shown you in their presentation exists to handle the matter. The other thing I would say is that in the past, whenever the apartment inspection ordinance was being created, I don't know, 12 years ago or something like that, and when it was amended, updated 6-8 years ago, there was and also a couple of years ago when the last, let's call it rental property ordinance was passed by council, the one that dealt with domestic violence in situations in rental properties. There was a lot of connection with the apartment association in the preparation of it. And I know that the presenter mentioned something about speaking to the head of the apartment association. I am not that. Now I am the vice president. I'm not sure what interaction she had with the president, but I don't recall him discussing any of that with me. And so I would submit that before any of this is considered, that whoever is preparing it, be it the organization that was a presenter here or yourselves, that you engage the professional organization of landlords in the area here to have some input to possibly make it better than what's here, and also possibly head off some shortcomings. So that would be my comments that I have, and we'll see how this moves forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizens who would like to speak today? Please come forward. Do we have any other citizens who would like to speak today? Please come forward. Do we have any other citizens who would like to speak today? Please come forward. I'm hearing and seeing none, so we will move on.
Ordinances for final passage. Council File Number 16473, Official Ordinance 61, 2024, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $100,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. This is used to complete the 2024 Street Improvement Program. Sponsored by Councilmember Brzezinski, seconded by Councilmember Troop. The Council File Ordinance Bill Number 16473, and now known as Official File Ordinance 61, 2024, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council passed Official File Ordinance 61, 2024 by yeas 7, nays 0. Ordinances for first reading. Council File Number 16476, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $373,000 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue and providing for the expenditure thereof, cops, police, technology, equipment, and command vehicle. Sponsored by Mr. Witherspoon, seconded by Ms. Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance Number 16476, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16476 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16477, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $32,791 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue and providing for the expenditure thereof for the Port Security Grant, sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance Number 16477, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance Number 16477 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16478, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $500,000 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue and providing for the expenditure thereof, Department of Justice prosecuting cold cases, sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Brzezinski. The Council File Ordinance Number 16478, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16478 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16479, appropriating the sum of $492,000 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue and providing for the expenditure thereof, COPS Police Technology and Equipment Improvements, sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Brzezinski. The council file ordinance number 16479, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance number 16479 by yea 7, nay 0 on first reading. Council File number 16480, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $3,125,000 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue and providing for the expenditure thereof. This is the COPS hiring program. Sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance number 16480, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance number 16480 by yea 7, nay 0 on first reading. This takes us to new business, Madam President.
Do I have a motion and a second to move the balance?
Motion to move the balance.
Second.
Any separations from anyone?
Number two.
Under
New business.
Are there any others? I'm not seeing anyone on council. All right, Lori, I think it's just the two. Well, number two, not the two.
moving the balance of the agenda, Council members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. Motion passes yea 7, nays 0. Number 2, a new business sponsored by Councilmember Brzezinski, seconded by Councilmember Witherspoon. That Erie City Council requests the administration and the proper city officials to consider the financial impact of relieving the burden of fee increases for residents that qualify and participate in the Pennsylvania State Property Tax Rent Rebate Program. Discussion?
Yeah, I put this on here mainly for discussion. We're hurting the poorest of the poor every time we put another one of these fee increases in. And I get blindsided. I'm told the only way, the reason we're doing this, because it's the only way we can get nonprofits to chip in and help the burden that we have. That's well and fine. All I'm saying is that the people who spend their lives helping build Erie and are now sitting on a fixed income, maybe a lost pension from Hammermill or whatever, living from paid Social Security check to Social Security check, and wondering how they're going to come up with another 7, 9. Sounds like chump change. And I don't have a problem paying it. I get big bucks working here. All kidding aside. The point is, let's let the people who can afford to pay it. A little bit of history. You know, the city of Erie, back in the olden days of the esteemed Mayor Tullio, was a very, very wealthy city. We could help everybody that we wanted to help, and we still had money in the coffers. It's not like that anymore. Expenses are going up all over the place, we know that. Wages are going up. Ms. Lemus works 23 hours a day getting grants to bring money in. I'm just saying, and I'm going to get all the nonprofits on my neck, but if they can afford to have CEOs that are getting 70, 80, 90, upwards of $100,000 a year to run the nonprofits, then they sure as heck can pay the extra money that it would take in those fee increases to let the people who are really hurting not have to pay. And like I said, I don't have the numbers yet. It's in the works. We'll find out before the budget is over. You know me, I've always been against the fee increases because it really hurts the poorest people the most. And anything else for good of the order? Otherwise, I'm done.
Does anyone else on council have anything to say? All right.
No other discussion. Voting on the resolution, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. Resolution passes yea 7, nay 0.
All right, I believe this takes us to committee reports, right?
On to committee reports.
All righty, we could stop at the end with Mr. Brzezinski and work our way around.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. I guess the winner today is Pat Harkins. Boy, he really kicked the heck. No, he didn't. Nobody ran against him. But it's good to have our local legislative people back in the fold. And they've worked very well with us, and they will continue to help us with grants and things like that. Port Authority, we have a meeting next week where we get our basic plan for the future, obstacles that we have to overcome, and obstacles are just problems that are fun to face, and be able to overcome those obstacles. That being said, there's so many things going on, I could speak probably longer than Ms. Schaaf, but I won't do that. Hi, Kath. Gus Pine and the zoo folks, along with Titus and I, will be meeting with those folks to see if there's something viable that we can do to keep this zoo viable for all the people that frequent it. I know I had 4 sons and 12 grandchildren. Over the years, spent a lot of time down there. So it's a must-do, and we're working already. The state did already kick in, what, $2 million for the vet center. So things are looking up. We're working hard, and if we work together and work well, we'll get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy, you can go next.
I have a question. Am I allowed to read something that I found for my report?
Yes.
Okay. I woke up this morning and I found this from a friend who I'm acknowledging the person who wrote this. And his name is Timothy J. Clark. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just a part of it because I don't want to take more than my 5 minutes. But Timothy J. Clark says, there are today 2 groups in America, and each of them are experiencing this morning in different ways. And then he does say that he was going to write this and post this no matter who won the election. For those who supported President-elect Trump, this is a day of victory. And for those who supported Vice President Harris, it is a day of defeat. Whichever group one belongs to, there are 3 attitudes that they must avoid. Let me say that I had already planned to send this message no matter which candidate won. For those who supported President-elect Trump, they must resist the following attitudes. Pride. Well, they have every right to be proud of this victory. Pride is different. Pride says, I did this, and I am the greatest or best. It is arrogance and hubris, all of which are dangerous. Presumption. Presumption says, I am always right, I am the only one right. It assumes that winning is everything and presumes to do as it pleases. Prejudice. This attitude says, in essence, to the victors belongs to the spoils. So I look out only for those who like me or those who support me, and I treat everyone else like the enemy. Each of these attitudes can be dangerous. For those who supported Vice President Harris, here are the 3 attitudes that they must avoid. Hatred. We have made our political process a zero-sum game, and so if we lose, then we hate the one who won. Hatred is poison, and what is sad is it does not kill the hated, but it can destroy the hater. Hostility. When we hate someone, we can easily be hostile towards them, seeing and treating them as the other. We can demean and dismiss them and often disregard them. Hatred and hostility both breed contempt for others, and that too is dangerous. Hopelessness. Losing is never easy, and when we experience it, we can give in to hopelessness, and that attitude can turn defeat into despair. Today, we must find our way to making the dream of America a reality, knowing it is never easy and never without a price. As we awaken to this new day, so this is the part where there's like a little bit of religion, so I won't really say it. But I just want to say, God bless us, everyone. That's what I like to say whenever I send out cards and things.
Thank you. Councilmember Nelson?
Yeah. Is that a go? Yeah. So I just wanted to give a little update. The guy that I had recognized at the beginning during our silence, he's a neighborhood watch leader at Bay and Harbor, and had been for 50 years, which is in the West Bayfront neighborhood. And coming off an election day, I think everybody can maybe feel this a little bit, but I won by 20-something votes. So after I got sworn in, I went out and I asked everybody that could like single-handedly win an election for me. I went and gave him a nice greeting and took him out and such. So this particular guy, I asked him what I could do for him. He gave me a thing to do, and I said, yep, I'll do it. And then he laughed at me and said, I've heard that from every politician for the last 40 years. And even gave Kathy credit because she'd passed a resolution to try to get it done for him. And I said, I'll go help you out. So then I did something, and in the hospital, he had a picture delivered of the updates on that project 4 different times, that his brother, who rides his bike to his house, would bring him to the hospital, and it made the slideshow in his viewing, and it was a nice reminder of doing this and serving people in the neighborhood that are close neighborhoods and have demonstrated a long life of service, and the impact that our infrastructure and neighborhood development does to make those people happy. So, otherwise, most of the last 3 weeks have just been filled with stupid political stuff that I'm happy is over. That's it for my report.
All righty, Councilmember Troop.
Madam President, I'll join the Echo Show today. Only thing I want to say is, to those of you, I've played athletics. I was involved with athletics in my life, and it kind of goes on with Kathy. If you've been to an athletic event or you've watched an athletic event, 2 teams go to battle with each other. Maybe you've been a parent of a child that played athletics. Think about what they do when the game is over at the end of every game. Think about what they do. If you can envision a college game or a pro game or a high school game, the 2 teams line up. Think about what they do. They shake hands. And they say, hey, they congratulate each other or whatever it is, and they move on. So that's the only thing I want to say. Just remember at the end of a great athletic performance between two different teams, what they do at the end. I think that can help us keep things in kind of perspective.
So I've been told that I'm a little too transparent sometimes when I get on the microphone. but I honestly believe it's a disservice if I'm not transparent. So in full transparency, I woke up today tired. I woke up today scared. As a openly queer, trans, autistic person married to an immigrant, there's been very open public discussion around what is going to happen to my family. And that's just one family. I am very privileged to have access to power, access to resources, but there are many ways that I don't have access to civil rights. I don't have access to protect my family that others may be able to. And again, this is just one story. And so my report today is to just this, is a large part of our community, our very beautiful, diverse city, woke up today to news that will leave them feeling that they don't have a place here. And to them I say this: I see you, I hear you, and your feelings are valid. There are healers, there are supports, there are systems here, and we need to do what we need to do to lean in, to take care of one another, and to let those who are going to feel the most exposed, most vulnerable, know that they are not alone, and that is going to fall on the shoulders of those of us who are in elected office at a local level. What has been laid out is very scary to some, very scary to many who call Erie home. And so I challenge myself and my colleagues to make sure that we are taking time to hear the hurt, and that we're taking time to pave a path forward that includes all of those that the plan that's been laid out before us intentionally leaves behind. As far as the other assignments and my liaison positions, I'll have more to report out on the next City Council meeting.
Thank you. Councilmember Witherspoon.
Thank you, Madam President. First and foremost, I think we need to put some money in the budget for a better sound system. Next, I would like to recognize Sherry Kinham. Wave at us, Sherry. She's the Deputy Director for the Erie Housing Authority. Sherry worked her way up from the Kids Club, working with residents and housing, and now she's second in charge and does a very good job. I will miss her. She was very instrumental to the Summer Basketball League for at least 22 years. Some way, somehow, I'll get her back. I can't pay her what she is making, but I'll get her back. Next, the information shared by Kathy, she read that to me before she backed out of my driveway, so I had to listen to it. And I told her that was very strong, very, very strong statement. And that will resonate with me for quite some time. The next thing, our president was honored this past weekend for the job she has done at her job, plus her leadership here on council by the Elks Club this Saturday, and it was a packed house, and it was an award well deserved. The Erie Housing Authority serves 1,850 households through their low-income program. And as of September 30th of this year, they had 162 families leave public housing. At the same time, they had 173 families come into public housing. So housing is and should be one of our main concerns for our citizens, and or lack of. Their occupancy right now is 96%. However, HUD requires them to have 98% occupancy. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And I will make the report available through our clerk's office so anyone could make a call and get a copy of that. They are doing an outstanding and fantastic job. They take their high-rise seniors on cruises here in Lake Erie with the Victorian Princess. They do the programs. Well, they've been with the Spoons League ever since it started, and very strong supporter. Next, I would like to report, and council have a copy of Police Dan's report on the work that our police officers and detectives are doing and have done. Very, very hard. And they finally solved the case of young Espen, young Ager, 7-year-old kid that was shot in the head and died. That has been solved. People say, well, now the family have closures. There's never a closure when you lose your son. We, as parents, not supposed to bury our children. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. I will report that I was honored from the Elk Club for my years of service to the community, also along with Bishop Brock and one other individual. I forget his name at the moment, but it's always great to be acknowledged and recognized by your peers, especially when you don't expect it. So when you're doing good work, I guess people are watching, so that's always appreciated. I also wanted to mention that we have just received our new budget for the year, so our month of November is going to be filled with study sessions for the next Tuesdays and Thursdays, all the way through the month, leaving out the week of Thanksgiving just so council members can have time with their families. We also made a minor change to the New Year's first meeting of the year. We will not have it on the 1st. We will be having it on the 8th, just so that people won't have to rush back on the 1st of the new year. Most places are closed until the 3rd. And I also just wanted to say that, you know, the great thing about America is that you can have differences of opinions, difference of feelings, difference of, you know, things that make you unique. That's the perk of being in America, is that the uniqueness of each person is what makes them beautiful. I know that a lot of people are nervous and hesitant on what the coming months will bring, but as long as we work on making Erie and keeping Erie beautiful and welcoming, I'm pretty sure we will just have to navigate the storm of what the top-heavy administration will be pushing down towards us. So hopefully, as a whole, our city will be able to come together and continue to work towards the things that make us beautiful. We all have jobs, we all have families, we all have things we have to take care of daily, so everyone's overworked and underpaid, so chances are most people are just going to go on about their lives and continue on for the next day. Do I have any reports from the solicitors? No? Renee and the mayor's administration?
Sure. I will end on an uplifting note. I just wanted to let you know, in addition to the $4.5 million in grants that we are appropriating today on first reading, we found out about the $2 million for the zoo and about another $2 million for other grants that we submitted. So that equates to $8.5 million in grants that we found out about in the last several weeks, and we still have more that we're waiting to hear on, so we'll keep you posted on all those.
Thank you. I know anytime we can get grant money into the city, it's a great thing, so I appreciate all your efforts and the efforts of the team, so thank you. That concludes our meeting. Thank you, and all have a good day.
City Council.